Before you are 3 shoes manufactured by Merrell. And I feel that Merrell has sold its soul when it comes to producing quality footwear. This is the first pair of shoes I purchased from Merrell. I actually got these used from a friend about 5 years ago, and I've been very happy with the ankle support that these shoes provide. I've been very happy with the Vibram sole. Look at that. I bought them used, and they show very little wear and tear for the amount of wear and tear that I've put on them, the way I've used them. I've used these as regular work shoes and sometimes as everyday shoes. I've taken them on backpacking trips and day hikes. I've been really satisfied with these shoes and their durability. So when I went to start looking for a good quality everyday shoe, about 3.5, 4 years ago, I purchased this Merrell Chameleon shoe. And I wore them for about 1.5 years, and originally they felt really comfortable and they seemed like a really well-made shoe. But then I started having some problems with them. I started noticing that pieces were tearing off. You can see how that plastic tore off there. It ended up holding up pretty well, but it started tearing off. And then if you see here, pieces of the Vibram sole started just tearing off the bottom. And I just became dissatisfied with this particular pair of shoes. Another thing that became really annoying to me is you can see how the back lining there, if you look carefully, my foot just worked its way back through there. And I didn't use these hard. I wore these every day, but not to do heavy-duty tasks. And I became a little more unsatisfied with this pair of shoes. To show you its mate, the left foot shoe from this pair of Merrell Chameleons, you can see what happened there. This just tore all apart. And early on wearing these shoes, I noticed that something strange happened. It felt like, if you look at this is like a shell, this polymer shell that goes over the bed of the shoe. This became really loose, and it didn't tear off, it was just loose. And so every time I stepped down, there was squeaking and movement. It still maintained its waterproof, and it wasn't until months and months and months later that this tore off like this. But I noticed that that seemed to be a problem, and I did not appreciate the way that happened. And you can see how very little, now I've worn some of this down, but you can see how very thin the sole actually is. How very thin the sole actually is on this one. So I wasn't happy with Merrell, but I decided I'd give them a try, because as I looked at the next iteration that came out of the Merrell Chameleon, I seemed that they had changed some important things. You can see the Vibram sole has been maintained, but they seem to have changed some things here. They did things like doing a double grommet or a double rivet attachment there instead of a single rivet attachment. They seem to be paying some attention to detail. And so I wore these shoes. I got these about maybe 2.5 years ago, and I have just utterly trashed them. You can see there, this happened very early on, about maybe 6 months into using the shoe, that this just kind of fell apart. The leather just seemed, maybe not leather, but whatever they're using, naga hide or whatever it is here, it just kind of fell apart on me there. The other shoe that matches this set didn't seem to have that problem. You can see there it held up better, and I just felt like this was maybe a problem with the individual shoe. But you can see here that, again, I'm rubbing that the thickness of the overall sole has been worn down here, but you really didn't start with very much to begin with. And I feel that Merrell has built into their shoes over the years planned obsolescence. You notice that instead of, as these shoes, you can see that now this is a higher end boot, but you can see this is how you build a shoe to last. Okay, check it out. These shoes are made in Italy. Okay, TheGearTester is still working on them many years later. These shoes are made in China. Made in China. And Merrell, in my personal estimation and view, because I couldn't figure out how this shoe continued to last me, and why I was going through multiple sets of chameleons, and I couldn't figure out what was going on until I made that connection that these are made in China, these are made in Italy. Okay, this is quality, and I feel that Merrell has gone in and intentionally sacrificed quality for profits. I don't care if a shoe is made in China. I don't really care where it's made. I'd prefer that everything I purchased wasn't made in China. It seems like we could shift some of the products that we purchase from being manufactured in other countries than simply China. But at the end of the day, I'm more worried about quality. And it seems to me that with the way Merrell uses these kind of little webbing straps, there's planned obsolescence. They know how many times you're going to be able to pull your laces through that. They're intentionally making the sole of their shoes, at least the chameleons, thin. And it really annoys me when companies like Merrell, who have produced quality shoes in the past, who had a good brand name because of the quality they're producing, sacrifice quality for quantity, sacrifice quality and excellence for increased higher earnings for simply their company. And that really bothers me. So in my personal estimation, Merrell has sold out. They have intentionally built in, like many companies, but Merrell specifically in this video wanted to emphasize the fact that Merrell seems to have built in planned obsolescence so that you need to buy more of their shoes. And they do make what feels initially like a very comfortable shoe, but at least from my experience in the last 5-6 years, has been relatively negative in terms of their newer shoes that they're producing and the quality of the shoes that they are producing. Merrell, make shoes like these ones that were manufactured in Italy. Make the same level of quality that you used to, and I will come back. But until I see that happening and until I see that intentional, I will never buy another pair of Merrell shoes. Before you are 3 shoes manufactured by Merrell. And I feel that Merrell has sold its soul when it comes to producing quality footwear. This is the first pair of shoes I purchased from Merrell. I actually got these used from a friend about 5 years ago, and I've been very happy with the ankle support that these shoes provide. I've been very happy with the Vibram sole. Look at that. I bought them used, and they show very little wear and tear for the amount of wear and tear that I've put on them, the way I've used them. I've used these as regular work shoes and sometimes as